today to be with Mandy Aftel in Berkeley. Mandy, we're actually in her atelier because Mandy is a premier artisanal perfumer. And I happened to run across her book, Fragrant, which I cannot recommend too much because it's called The Secret Life of Scent. And not only is it a literary treat, it's a history, and it's also a manual. Mandy reveals some amazing secrets about the art of perfuming. And so I am terribly lucky to be here today and to investigate and interrogate and see if we can't get some interesting stories and methods from Mandy.
Okay.
So tell me first, what led you into the world of scent?
I was a psychotherapist for 30 years. I specialized in artists and writers, and I really loved what I did. And I wrote a book called The Story of Your Life, Becoming the Author of Your Experience, and I did a lot of research on plot and stories, which I realized was kind of what you were listening to all the time with the client.
So
they were
I
telling
thought
the
that
stories.
was a real way.
So I was very interested in how stories and plot were put together. And when I wrote that book and it came out, I thought I'd like to write a novel because I had studied so much about stories. And I decided, and I don't know why, that I would make my main character a perfumer. And so I took a class and I started to read and do original research because I love research. One thing led to another. I went and I took a little class in an aromatherapy studio near here. And they had us make a little perfume, and I went with a friend, and I was very excited to kind of do that for research, and it turned out I loved it, and I had a gift for it from the beginning. I really sort of understood the materials, and for one thing led to another, and I started a perfume line with a friend that kind of came to a not so great end, not the perfume line I have now, and we were in Bergdorf's in Neiman Marcus, and it was kind of the first natural perfume line in the world. But I just fell into it by, following my nose.
Well, tell me something. Do you remember as a child having a strong sense of smell? Were there things like, can you, like Proust, can you remember that Madeleine dipped in tea, or?
I don't think I have that.
Yeah.
I have a feeling for smells. I have a lot of different feelings about smells that go far back for me, but they're not necessarily the Proust moment where you have this memory and your past kind of coalesces around that scent memory. I feel a lot, I don't think I've ever said this before, I feel a lot about time going by the way things smell. So like going for a walk, besides how things are visually, it's how things smell, or places I go. It's very vague. It's a vague, atmospheric, emotional thing that happens for me when I go some places and I smell it, and I like the smell of different places and experiences and of the world turning around on its axis. But I don't have a specific thing like that at all.
But it's funny, since you say that, it's so interesting because your book is really articulate. But you do say something at one point which really stuck with me, which is that we don't analyze scent, it unfolds in us, and it's kind of, it is pre-verbal. Lucky for us, your verbal skills are highly heightened, so we get the best of both worlds. But it is true that scent is something other. It takes us into a whole other realm.
It's very far from language, scent, which I think is kind of good in a certain way too, because I think we often put words on our experiences and don't have the experiences anymore.
Ooh,
and so we just get a word for it, and then we're no longer consciously there and enjoying it. And so I think since it's so hard to kind of reach in your mind for the word for smell, that it makes you have to be more present for it, and it makes it more original.
You've spoken, you're just working with natural scents, nothing synthetic.
Nothing at all synthetic.
And to a certain extent, but this is a sidebar, you bemoan a lot of the syntheticization of perfumery, which is why we're here in this extraordinary lab called and this is the organ.
Yes.
But you're working primarily with, as I recall, 5 main elements. You call them spirit guides or the rock stars.
In the book. Yeah, I clearly work with a lot more than 5. I work with a lot, a lot of essences. But the book, the book was kind of like a real gift. I mean, it was amazing to me. the things I turned over in the research. Like I was just very excited to find this stuff and share it. I mean, I don't know if the book has that sense of discovery in it, but boy, I sure had it when I was reading it, writing it and reading the material. So I was lucky enough to stumble on these 5 essences that I felt were connected to these very deep human appetites, things that we long for. So the first one was cinnamon, which I stumbled into from a talk I gave at the Museum of Natural History on the spice root. And I realized cinnamon was kind of, you know, the titan of the spice trade. So I thought that was a real way into our desire for things that are exotic, far away, luxurious, little tiny things we bring home. That whole experience of that, which is what the spices were really about. Then the next one was mint, which was all about what the opposite of cinnamon. What's close to home, what's American, what's literally underfoot, home and garden. And the sense of hospitality and how mint has been used for being hospitable to people. There's some kind of wonderful myths and things I found about mint. Then the next one was, the book focuses on, was the scent of frankincense, which is about the human appetite for transcendence and spirituality, and it's been in so many spiritual rituals, and also about the history of incense.
Well, it's biblical, etc. I didn't even realize that we were still using frankincense.
It's what's swinging in those censers in the Catholic Church.
Oh,
it's really,
haven't been there for a while.
It's really, it's really just a rock star among aromatics in terms of the incredible history of the original incense that God gave to Moses. All kinds of very amazing things have taken place because of the smell of frankincense.
By the way, something really cracked me up when I read your book, where God said to, I guess it was Moses, take 50 shekels of frankincense, and I'm going like, wait, God knew about shekels?
I know.
He knew how to measure it.
I know. And he's got so many, it's so rich and wonderful. Well, the whole idea about incense, which, you know, if we come back to that to talk about, is that there first was human sacrifice, and then mercifully they stopped doing that and turned to scented sacrifice, which was burning these things as a path to God, as the idea that God liked good smells and God was a good smell. So that's the third one. And the fourth one is all about the human appetite for wonder and for curiosity. And for that, I just found delightful, interesting stories about animal scents, old animal scents that were used in perfumery, seashells, whale poop, other things like that, as well as interesting stories about dogs and skunks and butterflies and how they create smell in their bodies. And then the last one was jasmine, and that was really about the human appetite for beauty, and in particular wabi-sabi, which I feel might be quite of interest to your magazine readers, which has to do with the beauty of aging, of things as they get older and are more imperfect, that they have a kind of beauty. And so that's the kind of beauty I was talking about, including my interest in perfume, which ages and disappears. And so that's kind of, in a little nutshell, what the book's.
It's chock-a-block with remarkable anecdotes. I kept checking them off, and I mean, it almost seems vulgar to bring it up here, but the whole idea that Viagra was a Sanskrit term for what the tiger did when they were marking.
Yes, and that was literally unreal when I found that. Yeah,
it's Viagra, I guess, and it means smell.
Yes,
guys, check it out.
It was so cool. I mean, the stuff that I found was just thrilling, and you saw that smells and the sense of smells and natural smells have been interlaced with who we are as people since the beginning of time. It's just so exciting.
It's a beautiful thing. Another quote I remember was that the history of man was developed in the wake of perfume.
Yes.
So our seeking perfume led our initial voyages.
Yes. Well, people, you know, the spices, you know, which is where I start from, and some that I did a lot of research on. People really, really went through a lot of trouble to get what you could get kind of in Safeway now. So it was it was so miraculous that the titan of the spice trade, say cinnamon, is now an artificial flavor at Dunkin' Donuts, because people, and it doesn't smell any different. It's just that it's available.
Right.
And so it was just this magical bark that they couldn't believe, that smelled so extraordinary. They just couldn't wait to have their food, you know, perfumed with it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, from King's to Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes, it's a long journey.
Yeah, yeah. And it used to be that these things were so rare, these essences were so rare that they established status and were proof of wealth and
Yes.
etc.
And
Yeah.
one of the things I hope for readers of my book is to separate status from luxury.
I remember.
And that status is an external thing that experience that people think of you. But luxury is a very internal, sensual thing that happens for you, that you feel something is luxurious, you feel it's pleasurable to your senses, and it can be very inexpensive to have an experience with luxury.
You can walk down a street in LA at this time of year after a rain and the orange blossoms are out, and it's just everything just opens up at once.
Yes.
You know, it is an incredible luxury. Yeah.
And to me, you know, as a person who works with these materials every day, it's all there. I mean, it's not anything that requires a lot of doing to just wake up to the pleasure of and really feel enriched by.
Well, that's one thing that you ask of your readers. I think you said something like you're inviting them on a serious, delirious quest into the nature of fragrance, and you ask us to walk into the farmer's market and really inhale the basil, and it is a wake up call, because it makes you realize, oh my God, I walk around half the time not even being aware of its significance. It is the most underrated sense we have, and it's tragic because I began to think about it, and it connects our animal self with our spiritual self.
Absolutely, you totally get it.
Yeah.
You totally get it. Yeah. That's exactly right. And I feel like evangelical about waking people up to that, because I feel like I have that in my life every day. I really feel very, very fortunate to work with these materials, and I feel like everybody doesn't need to start a perfume line or do some of the things I've done, but everybody can have the pleasures that I have, and so I'm very just eager to wake people up to that.
Yes, you've been called an evangelist, but I consider you an alchemist. That's what I see.
Oh, thank you.
It's very exciting. So like I say, in the book, Mandy actually details all kinds of really neat recipes for balms and essences and dilutions, but it would be really, really fun to start to explore them with her and have her perhaps show us a little bit about this, which is the organ.
Yes.
Do you want to mention what's going on here?
And it's called an organ because when you sit in it right here in the center, you kind of look like you're playing an organ. These shelves look like an organ. And there's a lot of musical metaphor in perfume and in describing essences. You put them together, they're called chords, and the different materials are called notes. So these essences with the yellow labels here, they're called top notes. And what they are simpler, brighter essences, essential oils from plants.
Pink pepper.
Yes, ones that people know. They come from food and gardening. So you just pull that off and just smell it, and you can smell.
I love pink pepper.
Pink pepper is very berryish.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's called red fruit. Yes. There's also black pepper right near it. So these top notes reach your sense of smell in a half an hour. They're very light in color and kind of pointy. Their smell is sort of a pointy shape. A little bit comes out at you. It's the first note you smell when you create a perfume. The middle notes, as you can see, the materials, the essences are getting thicker and darker. They're more red, more brown, more pink, and these last from 2 to 4 hours. And these are things like rose and jasmine, which I can give you to smell different flowers, different spices. And then these here are base notes, and you can see they're getting thicker and deeper and darker, almost dark brown. These are things from trees and roots and barks and resins. And these ones last for days.
And animals too in there?
There are some animal ingredients in here too, yes.
Right.
And this is the 3 different levels of smell. And so if you make a perfume, the first thing you smell is the top note, then it moves into the middle, which are these, and then it goes all the way down to this note, which is the base notes, and then there's a dried down note. But they also mix with each other, so it's not completely separate. They're all mixed in together, but they begin to lift off or volatilize, fly away, the notes, the materials, as they're on your skin. And the thing about natural essences and natural perfumes is they only last a couple hours. So people who don't like perfumes, for example, like and buy my perfumes because they only last a couple of hours. So you're not going to smell them at another table or in an elevator. For better and for worse, you have to put them on again.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. But it's all about balance, right? Because you can have something, like you can have a base note and a middle note, and then you can blow it by one drop, for instance, when you're adding a top note. So you really have to be very precise, I guess.
Yes, and in the book I give a bunch of instructions, you know, how to make stuff. I don't know if it would be of interest to smell some stuff because
for sure
people couldn't smell it. If you want to, you can.
Sorry.
What are you interested in?
Okay, I love cardamom. I love pink peppermint.
Okay, hang on 1 minute. So I'm going to take my glasses off because I can read the labels better. I have fantastic. Tell me the stuff you like, and then
I like vetiver. I like rose.
I buy from a grower in Turkey, and it's a very, very voluptuous rose damascena, and I just got it. It's actually coming. Could be at the post office for. Oh no, just kidding.
Wow.
That's the rose. I have different roses you could smell. Like you'd be able to smell the differences between them, or I have different cardamoms.
Really?
Yes, I really pride myself on getting different versions of things. But tell me what else you like. I have gardenia.
Grapefruit, pink grapefruit.
I do. You want to get me the grapefruit from the fridge? The citruses stay in the refrigerator.
You have to stay in the fridge. I like lemon. I like cedar. I like everything, really.
Here's a lemon. This is lemongrass. This is
lemongrass. I love lemongrass.
This is lemongrass, and then a very, very lemony smell, and one that I use more than lemon is something called Litsea cubiba, which is from the Mei Chang plant in China, and it's a really wonderful, untarred lemon.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful lemon. It is vetiver, one of my favorites. And then this is sandalwood that's 100 years old. Sandalwood has been exploited in India, and it's a real problem what's happened with the overharvesting of sandalwood.
Really?
But I happen to have a stash of old oils. So this is 100-year-old sandalwood from Mysore. So this
I don't even want to hold it.
It's really pretty beautiful stuff.
Oh God, it's so subtle. It's beautiful. It's
really
more subtle than a lot of sandalwoods that I've found.
Well, most sandalwoods are synthetic because they don't get any to buy. I have to give you this, which you can use. And so if you inhale a couple times in a piece of wool, your sense of smell will come back. I have fantastic ginger I want to share with you.
Ginger.
This is from the wet ginger that you grate. It's fresh. You smell it,
greener and
citrusy.
Yeah. Oh, and lavender.
Okay, here's a lavender.
And chocolate.
And who?
Chocolate.
Oh, chocolate. Okay, here's orange flower. This orange flower. This is very, very, very expensive one. This is like $12,000 a kilo.
Where's that from?
Turkey.
Yeah.
That's
from
from
Turkey.
And this is the lavender absolute. See how it's this beautiful color? It's really fun to drop it in because you see the color go. This is a very special lavender. It's called lavender absolute.
Wow, that's much rounder and.
Well, the one you're thinking of is the regular lavender essential oil.
That's amazing.
Which I'm going to show you. So the different way you extract the plant makes for a different smell. So this is lavender essential oil, which I'm sure you've smelled.
Yeah.
And this is lavender absolute. And then
it's more kind of candy-like, the absolute.
And then this is bergamot, which people use in Earl Grey tea. Do you know that? This is a real thing. It's a very floral citrus.
Wow, it's more kind of woodsy. It just feels very Indian for some reason.
Yeah, these are all. This is very sexy, interesting orange called Wild Sweet Orange from the Dominican Republic. It's a little dirty orange.
Yeah. I love anything from forests.
Oh, okay.
Mushrooms, dirt, humus.
Okay, all right, I'm coming back down. I hope I'm not driving you nuts. Let me do that.
I think I'm already in an altered state.
You're high. You're high. There's no question you're high. This is fir from fir trees, FIR. And this is fantastic stuff.
Oh my God.
That is really oh my God too. Believe me, it is really oh my God.
Wow, so rich.
It's really fantastic. This is the oak moss, which is a lichen that grows on the side of oak trees, and it smells like the wet forest.
Wow. Yes, I can. It's like an old cabin. I know an old cabin near a lake.
This is seps, which is porcini mushrooms.
Whoa, interesting. I never actually thought you would
It's
use
very,
that as an
I
essence.
have this one perfume that I made a long time ago called seps, which is what that is, wild mushrooms, and tuberose. And it was very odd perfume, and I made it. It's got its own little following, and it's
That's
that
so cool.
earthy mushroom thing with the white flowers.
Wow.
And it's a very one of a kind of perfume. This is choya nut. These are roasted seashell. It smells like a campfire on the beach.
Gee whiz, that is so evocative.
Yeah, I have
Is that the one it's called onicha?
This is made with ancha. Yes.
Ancha.
Yes. And this is ancha. If you want to see it, this is them.
Wow.
This is in the original incense that God gave to Moses.
God, who knew those
you
lovely
wanna smell-
creatures can be so useful?
Oh, do you want to smell ambergris, the whale?
Yeah.
These are pieces of ambergris, different kind. White. This is black. These are all different. A little sampling of
Are they different
kinds.
ages?
Well, the white one is very old because I bought it from a perfumer from their stash. But
Wow. This reminds me of my grandmother.
well, it's a whole, and then to work with it, you tincture it. This is it tinctured. It's tinctured in this bottle. Several of them, but
So this is very ancient in terms of perfuming, right?
this is completely ancient. Ambergris is a very, very old ingredient, and these are different kinds. I have a collection of them. So this is sweet black, and
This almost smells like vanilla.
it's amazing
Yeah.
stuff.
Wow.
It's very, and also it's very transformative. When you put it into a perfume, it's a little bit like salt in cooking. It brings out, here I'm going to put a little tiny bit on you so you can see. It's very interesting the way it affects everything else in a perfume blend. It's very shimmery. It's kind of got a smell that's shimmery. In here, this is a very expensive, beautiful flower. This is one of the $14,000 kilo ones. This is Boronia. It's from Tasmania, and it smells like freesias and raspberries. Very, very hard to get.
Yeah. Wow, I think I need to.
And then there's also, this is a great beauty. I buy this Oh, here we go. That's here. Not sure about these.
How many scents are there here, all told?
I don't know. I Yeah, these are the beakers, and so I'm going to get this. And this is 190 proof undenatured alcohol. It's pure organic corn alcohol. So I put some in here, and then I put 10 milliliters in here, which is equivalent to 2 teaspoonsful. This is my drawer, and this is where I get my droppers. I use glass droppers. This doesn't look so hot. Get a different top for that guy. Put those in here. I use 2. And then I stir. I make things in these little tiny blends. I stir with these little tiny, very cute salt spoons.
Wow.
So here they
Antiques?
are. Silver, yeah, silver salt. So it's very important you don't have anything too big because it tips the beaker over.
I see.
So this is how I've worked since I started making perfume. I work on a paper towel because it's very important not to cross-contaminate oils.
Sure.
So if you get some of the rose into the jasmine, you have to throw it out. So the paper towel is for keeping the droppers dry, which you will soon see. So I'm going to make the recipe. I've got to come closer to it. That's here in the book, which is this one. Had a name. we had a name for it back a couple pages. It's called Amber Spice Perfume. So what this is the base of it, which is this. I always group things top, middle, and base when I work. Here's the base notes. But so this is the middle, this is the base, and then this is the top. So I group them together, and I always put the base in first, then I put the middle in, then I put the top in. And so I have a recipe, so it's you know, it's very easy to do. But if I'm creating a recipe or I'm creating a formula, as it's called in my business, I always create with deafening music. Really, truly deafening music.
Like, what are we talking about?
Well, it's loud.
Kiss?
It's no, it's
Alice in Chains?
No, I create a lot to Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen.
Ah.
I create a lot to very feelingful music about love. I really do. It's very transporting. It's a very big part of the process. So they're always playing loud. I have a speaker in here when I create. It just really helps me. And also I find, and I believe you were saying this as well, smelling these essences makes you high. You feel good, it makes you happy, it makes you connected to a very beautiful world. So I'm in this very altered state, pleasantly altered state, and I see that in my students when they're creating too. It's really joyful. So I have a lot of little rituals, many of which I put in the book, so that I don't get too high and forget what I'm doing. So I always start with the base notes. And so I'll go through what these base notes are for this perfume. This is basically a very, very ambery base. The most ambery note, which is that kind of warm, balsamic, rich note, is something called labdanum, which I'm going to give you to smell. And it's from the rock rose plant. And it just smells very warm, very rich, very ambery. Wow. Is in my recipe, I call for 8 labdanum, 2 vanilla. This is vanilla absolute. This is infinitely, infinitely stronger than vanilla extract. And 2 benzoin, which is a very flat vanilla smell, very resiny, light vanilla. So it's basically tempering the labdanum, that ambery smell, with a little bit of vanilla. That's the base. So I'm going to put in much more of the labdanum. I'm going to put in 8 drops labdanum, 2 vanilla, and 2 benzoin. So there's roughly half as much of the sweetness as the amber. I've loved my whole life seeing the drops go in. It just feels like magic. Most people, if they've made as much perfume as me, are working with a scale and a diluted oil. But I myself, 5, 6, love seeing the drops. And then I cheat a little bit, which you're going to see. And I'm going to call this 8. I'm going to wait till it collects in the bottom. And then I'm going to go like this. And sometimes I cheat a little more, which I'm going to do. And then I sometimes rub the outside, as you can see, of the dropper here to get some of the material off. Then I put it in here to get clean. This is only for cleaning. So I leave them there. So there are my 8 drops, and what I always do is I move away what I've put in, because as you get high and have a good time, you can't remember what you put in. So this is 8 drops of labdanum, so it's diluted, so you can smell it if you want. I'm leaving the dirty dropper here, but I'm probably, because I'm thinking of it, going to wipe it off a little more so it's ready for use. And then I'm going to take this dropper and wipe it on that's why I'm on a paper towel. And then I'm going to take the vanilla in this unbelievably adorable Erlenmeyer flask, and I'm going to get 2 drops. So this is going to warm up the labdanum even further. Then I take what's left, and I love that it's so precious, and put it back in my container. And then I go over here and clean my dropper. Then I take this, move it over there. Otherwise, if the phone rings or somebody talks to you, you have no idea what you've done. So what happens, and I usually, as I'm making a perfume, I smell every ingredient, because you learn so much about how things are tempered and changed by other materials. So, and I often go like this, put it on my hand, and smell it. So it's still very ambery, but it's a little sweeter. Yeah, and I made these perfumes in the book that anyone can make them. They're very simple and the ingredients are not hard to find, and I gave a list of where people can find them. So where they can buy them online. So now
pulling together this particular perfume would cost an average person about what?
Well, the little bit of a problem with that is you have to get very tiny amounts of things.
Right, and that's more expensive.
And you won't need 2 drops.
Yeah.
You know, it won't be more expensive. I might be wrong. I think you could make this perfume for, because it's got some expensive ingredients, like maybe $15.
What? Oh my God.
20, maybe, I don't know.
Walk into a place like Barney's and pay $250.
So here we've got the whole base. So I'm going to give me your hand a little bit. This is all the base notes in here, and I'm going to put it on me too. So just smell your finger or wherever I put it.
Oh, this totally reminds me of my grandmother. She wore this old Patu fragrance. It was either Joy or...
So now we're going to change that. We're going to put the middle in, which is rose and jasmine with cinnamon, which I can't decide which cinnamon I'm going to use, so I'm going to figure that out.
Okay.
So we have here, it's leaning toward rose because it's got 7 rose. That's a lot of rose. That's where most of your money would be going when you buy the materials for this. But 7 drops is still not a fortune. Okay, and there are a lot of places I have that will sell you a little teeny bottle. So we want 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That wasn't a whole drop. 7. So you notice I'm taking the droppers out, cleaning them. So the rose is in. I'm going to put it over here. And now we have this ambery base with just a little bit of rose in it. And so I like to see how it's a little bit different. So I'm going to put a little on you, a little bit on me.
Quite different, yeah.
So can you smell how the floral pieces just slid right in there, and it's lifted it up, exactly. Always wiped.
Jasmine always seems a little bit more vegetable-y than floral. You know what I mean? There's when they've just bloomed, it's a very
because it has that kind of yin and yang to it. It has a kind of funk.
Yeah, funky. Yeah,
it has a funk.
That's
and,
a word.
A funk and a floral because because it has an ingredient in it that's called indole that also happens to be in poop. So there's a funk.
Exactly.
There's a funk to it. So we've added a little bit just to temper the rose, and now I have 2 cinnamons, and I'm going to just see where I am. This is a lighter cinnamon, and this is a heavier cinnamon. One is a carbon dioxide extraction, and one is an essential oil. They look a little different.
And the difference between a CO2 extraction and
it's just the CO2 is gentler and rounder, and the essential oil is brighter and sharper. Which do you prefer?
I like the oil.
The oil, which is the sharper one?
Yeah.
Let's use that one then.
More fun.
Okay, let's put that
more
one.
Risque.
Okay.
2 of the oil extraction.
Of the essential oil cinnamon. And now that should have made quite a difference. So let's see where we are. You want to try it on your hand and see?
You can try to make the inside. Yeah.
Has a little bit of spice to it. A little bit of that spicy aspect to rose, so it's not just flat and pretty. There's a little bit of little pizzazz to the rose.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're
a little feistiness.
And so if you smell as you go along blending, it allows you to see what the changes are. So this is the top notes. This is something called bois de rose or rosewood. So it's a wood and a rose mixed together. This is lime, which is very bright, very green, very citrusy. And this is a marvelous fresh ginger that's kind of slightly citrusy. So we're going to add that. And so we have in this, we have 2 drops of ginger, which are going to connect with that cinnamon and make it even more spicy.
Is this going to be a more female scent or
I think
androgynous? Or
I think anyone could. Here's the bois de rose. I thought you might like to smell it. It's rose and wood together. It's called rosewood.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yum.
So this extends that rose note a little more to the top, and it's not very expensive. So we just have 3 drops of this. So we're gonna
kind of mellows it out a bit.
Yeah, it makes it a little woodier, a little drier.
It's actually rosewood. It's from rose bushes?
It's from rosewood. It's from rosewood, which is a wood, not from rose bushes. It's really from rosewood, which is a wood they use for... So you should smell this at this point. This is with the ginger and the rosewood. So this should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's a lot of lime. So each
6
one...
lime, okay.
So there's 6 lime. This is all in the book, so there's no secret. So now we have everything in here. Now it will change as it ages a little bit, but this gives you some idea of
Going
it.
through a
Here it
tiny
is.
paper filter.
I like all my perfumes to be very, very clear.
It's a gorgeous color.
Yeah, isn't
It's
it?
like honey, like a bright yellowy honey.
I lose some on the filtration. There's no news to me for that. It's just part of the price I pay. So this is a little bit of the vanilla resin at the bottom. So yeah.
How long can all these essences stay out in your studio? In your
Forever.
atelier?
Well, I have ones for 100 years that are 100 years old,
Really?
like
So
the sandalwood.
they don't.
No, just the citrus, and they
Just
stay
the
in the
citrus,
fridge.
which stays in the fridge. Okay.
I feel I love working with the materials, and I love working with the little tools I have. I feel like every step of the process is very beautiful to me.
One can get any number of these products on your website, correct?
Right, not this particular one, because
Not this
I don't sell
one.
this one.
Oh,
This one's
I've
from
got
the
a
book.
private blend. And you also are a perfumer to some interesting people, some of them quite well known. Do you drop names or do you not drop names?
A picture behind your head is from Leonard Cohen. It says, "Thank you for the perfume in my house."
Oh, wow.
I made perfume in our age group for Donovan.
For Donovan?
For Donovan and his wife. I made perfume for Lucinda Williams, Alice Waters.
Alice Waters, Donovan, Lucinda Williams. Wow.
It's fun. And other people too, but I can't remember who.
And then
Here's the little mini.
You do
So cute.
You do specialized fragrances?
I do custom perfumes, and people come to me and get a custom perfume made.
Wow.
Many people come and they go kind of through the organ and they choose what they like the best. And she loves it.
Well, I am very lucky.
Let me see what he put on here. Oh, how
It
cute!
says
You put that on there. It looks really cute.
Well,
We have labels.
See, Mandy went through my book, which is so marked up. It's got like stickies and the whole thing. She actually found a recipe that I had put a big star by, and I am lucky enough to be walking off with these marvelous samples. I can't wait. I mean, I smell like a transcendental, what is it? An Indian transcendental ginger cookie with, jasmine ears and wings of rose. I don't know, whatever.
It's really exciting.
It's very
exciting to make it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, well, it's clear you enjoy it very much. It's lovely. And there's also a really interesting element to this interview for my Realize readers, which is that Mandy is thrilled to be
67.
67.
I'm 67 years old, and I'm really happy about being that age. I just feel like so lucky. And I remember financial people would come, or they'd talk to me, and talk about, when I retire. And I used to think, I don't want to retire. First of all, I'd never have enough money. Looking at those charts, I thought I'm never going to be able to retire because I don't have the money, but I don't want to retire. It just sounded dreadful to me. And so I fell into making perfume in my late 40s. I'm 67.
Wow.
And I just...
Never too late.
And I feel like it's so thrilling to do something you really love. And I get up every morning and I'm so excited about my day, and I go to bed and I kind of don't want to go to bed and want to stay up and do more work. And I'm very thrilled with all the interesting things I get to do. And so I think if you do something that you love, whenever you stumble upon it and whenever you have the wherewithal, I wouldn't say confidence, but just passion to follow it, it just makes you feel terrific.
Yeah.
So I feel very lucky.
You're an explorer, and you use the word hunt.
Yes.
What is that Greek? The Latin word.
Metis. I love the hunt.
The hunt.
I love searching for things. That's how I fell into making perfume. I like finding things. I like discovering things. I like researching for things. I like going deep into things and understanding them and making sense of things, particularly things. And I feel this much more actually since I've gotten older. I feel like when things are a part of life that has gone on for so long, like in almost biblical proportions, I feel connected to that as I get older. my relationships that have gone right, my relationships that have gone wrong. I see in the Bible, all through history, people have had these problems. These things have happened. It's part of being human. And when I work with these oils, I feel like they span the breadth and depth of human life all over the globe. And I feel like I get to be, when I work with them, connected to some part of it. And as I get older, it's a wonderful kind of transcendent feeling.
Well, it's quite a tradition, and again, I can't tell you what a literary gem this work is. And she mentions at one point that some of these essences that call to us today are the same as those that Cleopatra ran her hands through that were used to wash the feet of Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's true. I
have goosebumps when you say it, and I'm the one that wrote it. And it's still thrilling to me.
I can tell.
It just really is thrilling to me. It doesn't get old.
I can tell. Well, I'm very thrilled.
Thank you. Thank you for finding me. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad I did. I love this book. So you need to find the book. And also workshops and all kinds of things.
I have a website. I don't know if that piece will be there, but I'm saying that. And you can find all sorts of stuff or from Facebook, like I do things.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
Smart cookie.
I enjoy it. You know, I really enjoy everything about this.
It's clear. Well, you radiate that joy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.